Hello sisters, how's it going? It is Monday. Shannon, thanks for the awesome video. I'm sorry I haven't responded to your first life questions video, but I waited a little too long and then Emily came out with that really good video and I didn't want to follow that up with like a crappy one. So I'm still working on my response. But in the meantime, I would like to answer your second life questions video. How are you supposed to feel when reciprocity is not returned? Well, I'm going to say that is a question wrongly worded, because you can't really tell yourself how to feel. You kind of just have to feel what you're feeling. And I know that sounds really stupid, but I can't just be sad and I'll tell myself to be happy and then I'll be happy. You know, it's like you just have to feel whatever it is you're feeling. And a lot of times when people are rude to me or they don't answer my phone calls or being inconsiderate or just being a bad friend, how I feel is I'll just be frustrated that they're not getting back to me. You know, it's like not that hard to send a text. I'll get anxious, like what if something happened, or like what if they just don't like me. I'll be lonely because I feel like, oh, no one's thinking about me, no one cares about me, and I'll be hurt because that's not a nice feeling, to feel like you're being ignored by someone you like. So instead of trying to change those feelings, I would say, like, what's the solution? What are you supposed to do when someone is not returning your reciprocity? You know, it's like, what are you gonna do? But before I get to my solution, I'd like to point out my graph over here, over at figure 1. I think a lot of the reasons you might be feeling this right now, Shannon, is because a lot of your peers and your friends are very young and, well, immature. You know, college kids don't have the greatest track record for being mature, responsible adults quite yet. And I feel like that's not really something a lot of us had, and you know, in this family, at least, you know, us three, have had a problem with. So I feel like we were all very mature in that way, from a very young age. You know, no one had to tell us to do our homework, or take a shower, or, you know, clean our rooms. It's like we were considerate enough and had enough respect for each other to kind of do those things on our own. And I feel like that's not a skill everyone else has already, and they just need to work on it. So this is this graph of how I view maturity and the ability to respect others, because as your maturity increases, so is your ability to respect others. When you're mature, you are able to answer people's phone calls, and you're able to remember to text others and be considerate. And I think that's just a part of growing up. And for some people, especially the fellas, they don't learn that ever, and that sucks. So kind of just ignore those people. Don't try and be friends with them if they lack the maturity to respect you and be a good friend to you. So, you know, what does that mean, being a bad friend? When I feel like what leads to these hard feelings is if someone is not being considerate of your feelings and how it might affect you. You know, if they don't send a text. To them, it's just a text or a phone call. Or, you know, they said they'd hang out later with you and they didn't. You know, it's just they were just saying something. And again, I feel like that's a big lack of maturity. Just having the forethought to kind of go outside yourself, to think about how your actions affect others. And I'll have to make that second video on the first life question pretty soon, because that kind of goes back to treating others the way you feel you want to be treated, or they feel you want to be treated. I feel like that is a strong tie to friendship as well. So maybe I just need a whole friendship video. And then lying is obviously not good to friendship, but is it a lie if someone says, I'll call you later, and they don't? I like to think so, because, you know, you're at the point now where you say these things, you can't just say them to say them. You know, you have to keep your word, and if you give someone your word, you're expected to follow through. And if you know you can't hang out later that week, or you might not be able to, then you should have the ability to say, hey, I'd really like to hang out later, but this is a busy week for me. Just want to let you know, it might not happen, it might, but I would love to hang out with you. You know, it's just the grown-up way to say it. So, okay, what's your solution? They're not texting you or calling you back, so what are you going to do? Well, you can't really change the way you're feeling, because if someone was like, oh, I'm sad, just feel happy, you know, it's really hard to do that. you can't just change the way you're feeling just through thought, I think. Sometimes you can affect it by trying to think, oh, like, oh, maybe something happened to them, maybe they just forgot, maybe that's not what they meant to do. But still, you have every right to feel the bad feelings. So what are you going to do? I think this sounds really cheesy, but you just need to be open and honest with your friends and your peers about how you're feeling. You know, if your friend didn't call you, just be like, hey, I thought you were going to call me when, you know, like, that hurt my feelings. And if they just say, like, well, I didn't mean to, and it's like, I know you didn't mean to, but I still feel hurt, that can kind of open the conversation to being, like, making them more mindful of the things they say and how they treat you, so that they can treat you with more respect. And I know a lot, too, that you're dealing with people in group projects that, you know, it's really hard to get them all to work together. But if you're like, okay, guys, we need to do this means a lot to me, at least then you won't feel so bad later if they don't come through. At least, you know, you tried your best to make it obvious that this is something that needs to get done. This brings me back to John Green, who I love. One of the things he likes to say a lot is to imagine others complexly. He's all about imagining others complexly. I have a little button from DFTBA Records that says, imagine me complexly, because that's like his thing. And I think that would help, you know, maybe if either you're the person not calling the other, or you're the person not receiving that call. It's important to remember that, you know, these people are just people. We're all just people. We all make mistakes. And maybe something is going on, or maybe they are just being jerks, but that's not something really we can help. And then I think that can kind of frame the way you feel. Maybe not change it, but maybe you won't be so hurt or so frustrated or anxious once someone, you know, doesn't return your reciprocity. I got it. I'm good. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. Last but not least is my open letter to people who did not return my reciprocity, because a lot of times at work, you know, people come in and they view me as, you know, a cookie machine. I give them their cookies, and then that's it. You know, I don't have feelings. But that's very not true. I am a human being. I'm just not the person that gives you a cupcake, you know. And it really hurts my feelings when these people don't treat me with the respect I deserve. Because working that minimum wage job sucks so much. You know, it's like, I'm sorry you didn't get your pastry on time. I'm sorry it wasn't the way you want, or we didn't have something that you wanted. But that's not my fault. And I wish these people would understand that, you know, it affects me. And I wish it wouldn't. And I wish I had a tougher skin that I could just kind of like, you know, shake it off. It's fine. No biggie. Just another rude person. But this also goes both ways, because, you know, a lot of times in North Boulder, these people are rich and very entitled, and they're used to getting whatever they want. But a lot of them are very nice, and I think I'm just so used to seeing them as rude jerks so much that I'm not seeing anything else. I'm not giving them a chance to be nice to me in return, because I'm just expecting them to be mean. And I think it would help a lot on my part if I could imagine them complexly. Maybe they don't usually act like this. Maybe they are just having a bad day, and they know they have all these kids and that's very stressful for them, or they have a job that's very stressful, or family issues. So, you know, it goes both ways. I can't just be like, why are these people being mean to me? Well, it's because I'm expecting them to be mean to me. And some of them are jerks, and some of them are very entitled because they're so wealthy. But not all the time. So that is what I have to say in response to your question, Shannon and Emily. I will see you later.